Yes. So our topic of today's class is no consideration, no contract. So what do you mean by no consideration, no contract? That means the contract without consideration is void. That means what? Contract without consideration. A contract involving no benefit or loss to the other party or no benefit or loss to each other is completely void, which cannot be enforceable in the court of law. So that is the meaning of no consideration, no contract. See this. What is the general rule? General rule is that an agreement made without consideration is void. That means you cannot enforce it in the court of law. But there are certain cases under which even if there is no consideration, contract is valid. That means contract can be enforceable in the court of law. There are certain exceptional cases. What are those cases that we need to see now? So, exception to the rule, no consideration, no contract. First one you see, contracts made out of natural love and affection. So, what do you mean by natural love and affection here? It is a contract between the near relative. So, who and all comes under near relative? So, we have already discussed about near relative. Near relative means father, son, father, daughter, then mother, son, mother, daughter, husband, wife relationship. So, these are the things comes under near relative. If a contract is entered into between near relative, then even if there is no consideration, contract is perfectly valid. See this. So contract between near relative includes the party related by blood or by marriage, like father, son, wife, father, daughter, mother and daughter, husband and wife, and so on. So what example you can give? See this. A, for natural love and affection, promised to pay 1 lakh to his son. So A is a father. Father promises to pay 1 lakh to his son. That is B. A gets his promise in writing and registered. That means A will do the agreement here. A is a father and B is a son. Now A wants to give B 1 lakh. In this case, what B will do for A? Can you tell me what B will do for A? B is a son. Whether he will do anything for A in return of 1 lakh, while getting 1 lakh, whether B will give anything to A, that is his father. Whether son will give anything to A when father gives him a 1 lakh. No, he won't give anything, isn't it? He won't give anything. Just he receives 1 lakh from his father. So in this case, there is a no consideration from B to A. So see this. This is a valid contract because it is a contract between near relative. This is a contract valid even though there is a no consideration moves from son to his father. Only father is paying the money and son is giving nothing. So this is the first exception to the rule. No consideration, no contract. Contract made out of natural love and affection. Second one, compensation for past voluntary service. So what do you mean by past voluntary service? If you have done any work to the other party in the past and that party decide to give you some benefit in the future, you have done this some work for that party in the past and that party will decide to give you some benefit in the future. In that case, that becomes what? Compensation for past voluntary service. What do you mean by voluntary service? Can you tell me what do you mean by voluntary service? Without asking you to do so, you are doing that party's work. That means you are doing the work with your own will. No one is forcing you to do the work. You are doing the work with your own will. In that case, what happens? Past voluntary service. See this. A promises to pay for past voluntary service is binding even though it is without consideration. What example you can give? Example. A finds B's suitcase, okay, containing cash and gold and gives it to him. Now my question is, if you find the suitcase full of cash and gold, will you return to the rightful owner? Will you return to the rightful owner? If you know the owner, will you return it? Answer, will you return it or not? If you find suitcase of cash and gold and if you know the rightful owner, will you return it or not? Disha is saying yes, Nishant is saying yes, Shifali is saying yes. Okay, so now you have tried. Now you are trying to reach that particular party. In that case, no one forced you. You with your own will try to reach that party. So now you are doing voluntary contribution. That means voluntary service you are doing. For such voluntary service, if a party decide to pay after a week, see this. In this case, A finds B suitcase and gives it to him. But B, what he does, he promises to pay A 50,000 as a reward, but only after a week. Suppose now you have given briefcase today, 28th September. Party decide to give you a reward on 5th of October. 5th of October. In that case, there is a delay of 1 week. So what happens? This is a valid contract even though there is no benefit moving from A to B. Why? At the time of giving the money, that means suppose now B is giving the money on October 5th. At that time, whether you have done anything to you, whether you have done anything to B, no, right? At that time, you have done nothing. You have done your act on September 28th, not on October 5. So, at the time of giving the money, you have done nothing. Only you will receive the amount. So, even there is no consideration. What happens? This is an exception to the rule. Compensation for past voluntary service is valid. Compensation for past voluntary service is valid. So now third one, promise to pay a time barred debt. So now till now we have discussed the exception to the rule, no consideration, no contract. Under that first one, contracts made out of natural love and affection. That is the contract between near relative. If there is no consideration also, it is perfectly valid. Next is compensation for past voluntary services. So if you have done any act in the past and the party decide to give you benefit in the future time, in that case there is a no consideration at the time of receiving the money. So that is also perfectly valid. Now third one, promise to pay a time barred debt. So now you see a promise by a debtor to pay a time barred debt is enforceable by the creditor or his authorized agent. So what we need to see here is example, because there is a law of limitation act. So there is law of limitation act. So now we need to see the example. A owed 10,000 to B and this debt was barred by law of limitation act. See this debt is barred by law of limitation act. So this debt is not recoverable now. Now what the A will do now? A signs a written promise to pay 5,000 to B in full settlement of his old debt. So there is a valid contract even though there is no fresh consideration passes from B to A. So here who is B? Can you tell me? A owed 10,000 to B means who is B? Can you tell me whether he is a debtor or creditor? Can you tell me? A owed 10,000 to B. Whether B is a debtor or creditor? Can you tell me? Anyone? Please answer. Can you tell me whether he is a debtor or creditor? A owed 10,000 to B. Yes. Answer. See this example. Can you answer? Creditor, yes. So Disha is saying creditor. Yes, that is correct. He is a creditor. So now what happens? Now B has given the money when before the law of limitation act. Now the debt is barred by limitation act. Now again new agreement is done between A and B. So now A signs a written promise to pay 5,000 to B. But now B has done nothing to A, isn't it? He has given 10,000 when before the law of limitation act. So before debt is barred by the law of limitation act, B has given 10,000. But at the time of making 5,000 payment, that is from A to B, so now there is no consideration. Now B is doing nothing or B is contributing nothing to A. Even though there is a no fresh consideration passes from B to A in the new contract, this is a valid contract. Promise to pay time bar debt is valid. So that is one more exception. Next one, fourth one is contract of agency. Contract of agency. See this. So, Section 185 of Indian Contract Act of 1872 states that no consideration is needed to create an agency. When a person is appointed as an agent, his appointment is valid even there is no consideration. That means, so suppose one person is appointed as an agent, he is doing nothing at that time. That means at the time of appointment, agent is giving nothing in return of appointment order. So isn't it? So now agent has done nothing, but even if there is no consideration from the side of agent, that is valid. Contract of agency, even there is no consideration, it is perfectly valid. So that is a fourth point, fourth exception. Fifth one, in the case of gift. So gift example, any example you can give. For gift, any example you can give. So can you give me the example for gift? Suppose I have gifted you a car. Suppose I have gifted you a car worth 10 lakh. I have gifted you a car worth 10 lakh. Okay. In that case, you will become the owner of that particular car, isn't it? Now I am giving the car to you. So now you received my car and now you are the owner of the car. So whether do you give anything to me in return of my car? So I have given you a car. Whether you are giving anything to me? Answer. Do you give anything to me? Do you give anything to me? No. Why? Because it is a gift. Because it is a gift given by me to you. So, in the case of gift, what happens? See, this receiver of the gift does nothing to the giver of the gift. Receiver of the gift does nothing to the giver of the gift. So, from receiver's side, there is no consideration to the giver. So, even in that case, also consideration with that is, even if there is no consideration, gift is also valid contract. See this, gift is also valid contract. So there are five exceptions. Five exceptions we have discussed till now. So if there is any doubt in this exception to the rule, no consideration, no contract, you can ask me now. Any doubt you can ask me now. Any doubt regarding no consideration, no contract exception, you can ask me now. Answer if there is any doubt. Disha is saying few students are not able to join class. Whether the link is proper, how come everyone else is joined? So what is the problem with the link? So I hope there is no problem with the link. Yes. So that we need to figure it out later. Few students are not able to join the class. Okay. Now no problem. Disha is saying now no problem. Okay. Fine. Yes. So now next thing. Now next thing we need to discuss. See this next one we need to discuss here is privity of contract. That is, stranger to the contract cannot sue. What do you mean by privity of contract? So privity of contract means it is nothing but relationship between the parties. So suppose A and B are the parties to the contract. So relationship between A and B created by the contract. What do you mean by relationship here? Can you tell me what do you mean by relationship here? Contractual obligation. Contractual obligation. What do you mean by contractual obligation? So duties required to be performed by both the parties as per the contract. Duties required to be performed by both the parties as per the contract is known as what? Relationship between the party who have entered into contractual obligation is known as privity of contract. So, what is the general rule? What is the general rule? General rule is party to the contract can sue and can be sued on that contract. So, can you give me the example? So, suppose there is a three person A, B, C. There is three person A, B, C. So now A and B are party to the contract. Then who is a C? Who is a C? Can you tell me? So if A and B is a party to the contract, who is a C? Can you tell me? We have discussed this. Yes. Who is a C? Anyone? A and B are party to the contract. Then who is a C? So C is either a stranger or a third party to the contract. So now whether C can sue A or B, or whether A and B can sue C. So only this is possible when C becomes party to the contract. See this, only the party to the contract may sue and be sued on that contract. This rule is known as privity of contract. So suppose example, we have discussed this. See this, if there is a contract between A and B, C cannot enforce it in the court of law since C is not a party to the contract. That means only A and B can enforce it. So only A and B can enforce it because they are the parties to the contract. Yes. So now for as per this rule also there is certain exceptions. Stranger to the contract cannot sue. So exception to the rule, stranger to the contract cannot sue means what do you mean by exception? Now stranger to the contract can sue. So what and all circumstances under which stranger to the contract can sue? So that we need to see the exception. First one, in the case of trust or charge. So what do you mean by trust or charge? See this, suppose any benefit is given to the beneficiary. See this here, a person beneficiary in whose favor a trust or other interest in some specific immovable property has been created. Suppose you don't have any immovable property, that means you don't have any land or property in your name. Now what I will do, I will transfer property of mine to you. I will transfer the property of mine to you. So in that case what happens, you are the beneficiary. You are the beneficiary because I am giving the property. Now you become the owner of that particular property. So now you are the beneficiary. See this. In the case of beneficiary, what happens? He can enforce the contract even though he is not a party to the contract. So whether there is any doubt in this trust or charge, whether there is any doubt, have you understood the trust or charge exception? Stranger to the contract can sue. That is the first exception. Trust or charge. What do you mean by trust? What do you mean by trust? Can you tell me? What do you mean by trust? Yes. Can you tell me what do you mean by trust? Anyone? Can you tell me what do you mean by trust? Yes. Answer. What do you mean by trust? Anyone can answer. What do you mean by trust? See, there are many people. So 13 to 14 people are there. Anyone can answer, right? What do you mean by trust? Amrita, Ankita, Akamsha, Anusha, Disha, Kuchal, then Narasimha, Nishant, Omkar, Pooja, Pratish, Shifali, Swati. Anyone can answer. What do you mean by trust? Can you answer? Yes, no answer. See, trust means the organization. So here, if we talk in general, trust is an organization created for the purpose of doing favorable act. So usually trust means created for the purpose of doing voluntary act. But here trust means the person to whom. The trustee means what? The person to whom the benefit is given is known as trustee. So trust may be a combination of person. Trust may be a combination of person. Yes. So that is the first thing. So now you see the example. Now can you see the example? So here there are three parties: customer, seller and post office. In this example there are three parties: customer, seller and post office. So now what happens? You have ordered something. Now we will take the example of some courier example we will take. So now you have ordered something from Amazon or Flipkart. Okay, fine. So now what happens? So now there is an agreement between seller and the buyer. Okay, that is fine. Now how Flipkart or Amazon people will sell the good? So they have their own courier service. Now let us assume they are selling the goods with the help of post office. With the help of post office courier service, they are selling the goods. Okay. Now, Amazon or Flipkart people says that your delivery will reach you by October 4th. October 4th, you will get the delivery of the good. Now, the goods have reached the post office on 3rd of October. 3rd of October, goods have reached. On 4th, you will get the delivery of the goods. But due to some delay, post office may not be able to give the goods to you on time. They may make a delay of 2 to 3 days. Now you are getting the delivery of the goods on October 7 or October 8. So in that case, so can you sue the post office? Can you sue the post office? You see, a customer who has bought the goods through mail order business entitled to sue the post office for the loss in the case of goods lost in transit. Since the receipt of the goods from seller by the post office for delivery creates post office to act in the capacity of a trustee of a customer. That means suppose a seller is giving the goods to the post office. That means there is a trust act is created. So there is a party is created now, that is trustee. Post office is a trustee to the customer. So now if there is a delay, can you sue the post office for the delay? If there is a loss in transit, can you sue the post office for the loss in transit? So can you sue the post office? Can you tell me? Can you sue the post office? They are saying no. If there is a delay, why not? Why not? You can sue the post office because if there is agreement, provided if there is agreement, if there is no agreement, if there is no condition is attached, in that case you cannot sue. If there is an agreement between you, seller and the post office, and in that agreement it is said that goods must be delivered on this particular date, that means goods has to be delivered on that particular date. If there is a delay by 1 or 2 days, then you can of course sue the post office. So that is the case here. So that is the case. That is first one, trust or charge exception. Second one, marriage settlement, partition or other family arrangement. So here what do you mean by partition arrangement? So there is a concept of Hindu undivided family. So what do you mean by Hindu undivided family? Can you tell me? So simply in general, what do you mean by Hindu undivided family? Anyone? Very simple. In general, what do you mean by Hindu undivided family? Very simple this is. Anyone can tell me what do you mean by Hindu undivided family? Simple word for Hindu undivided family. Anyone can answer. Yes. No answer. Hindu undivided family means it's a joint family, isn't it? So everyone is staying together. And in that family, there is one member who is known as head of the family. So head of the family is Karta. Yes. Head of the family. Akamsha is saying Karta. Correct answer. So there is one head who controls the family affairs. So that is known as Hindu undivided family. So now in Hindu undivided family, what happens? If the provision is made for the benefit of the person, he may sue, although he is not a party. That means a provision for marriage expenses of the girl was made in a joint family. So joint family. So now there is some expenses kept aside for marriage. That is marriage expenses. So there is some fund is created for marriage expenses, and that fund is given to that particular girl who is there in Hindu undivided family. Now what happens after the marriage? Family is separated, isn't it? Now girl goes and lives in her husband's house. So now family gets separated. There is no Hindu undivided family now. So in that case, what happens? On partition, girl can sue for such expenses. It was held in the court of law that she was entitled to claim such expenses from joint Hindu family. So this one you need to remember in the case of marriage settlement, especially in the case of partition or other family arrangement, what happens? The stranger to the contract can sue. Stranger to the contract can sue. General rule is stranger to the contract cannot sue. But in this case, stranger to the contract can sue. Who is a stranger here? Now girl is a stranger because she left the Hindu undivided family. So now she becomes the stranger. Okay. So now third one. Acknowledgement or estoppel. So what do you mean by the term estoppel? What do you mean by the term estoppel? Estoppel means what? Estoppel means what? Can you tell me? These things came before also. Estoppel in partnership form. Suppose you have studied partnership. In that there is a term estoppel. What do you mean by estoppel? Anyone? Can you tell me what do you mean by estoppel? Person pretends to act on someone else's behalf. Person pretends to act on someone else's behalf. So in that case, it becomes a estoppel. See this. So when a promiser by his conduct acknowledges or otherwise constitute himself as an agent of the third party, a binding obligation is thereby created between him and the third party. Suppose there are three people, X, Y, and Z. So now what X will do? X will receive the money from Y. So Y need to give the money to Z, but Y won't give the money directly to the Z. Instead of that, what Y will do? Y will give the money to X. So now X acknowledges that amount. Suppose the amount is 5 lakh. X acknowledges that amount to be given to Z, but he won't give. After receiving the amount, he won't give. In that case, my question, whether Z can recover the amount from X, whether Z can recover the amount from X. Can you tell me whether Z can recover the amount from X? Y need to give money to Z. Instead of that, Y gives to X, but X won't return it to Z. In that case, Z can sue the X. Can Z sue the X? Can you tell me whether Z is eligible to sue the X? Yes, answer. See now, Z can sue the X. See this. X receives 6 lakh from Y for paying the same to Z, but X acknowledges this receipt to Z. Z can recover this amount from X, who shall be regarded as agent of Z. That means what? Here, when at the time of receiving the money from Y, immediately once he receives the money from Y, he becomes the agent of Z. Why? Because Y need to give the money to Z, isn't it? So now Y is giving the money to X means he is the agent of Z. So now X need to give the money to Z. Yes. So that is the point here. So Z can recover the amount from X. So acknowledgement or estoppel. Estoppel means the person acting on someone else's behalf. So that in that case also stranger to the contract can sue. Fourth one, assignment contract. So fourth one is assignment of a contract. So suppose there is a insurance. So whenever you take the insurance, there is an option called nominee. So there is an option called nominee. Suppose if you take the life insurance. So life insurance also there is a nomination procedure. Suppose if anything happens to you, the amount will be given to the nominee, whoever name that is mentioned in the nominee list. So in that case, nominee is a third party. Nominee is a third party. You see, the amount due to the insured, the person who has taken the insurance policy from the insurance company, would be paid to the nominee on the death of insured by the insurance company. So what happens in the case of death of the original owner? Whether nominee can claim the amount? Yes, provided he gives sufficient proof. Provided that he gives sufficient proof. In that case only, nominee can claim the amount of the deceased party from the insurance company. Okay, so that is the fourth one, exception. Fifth one, contracts entered into through an agent. Okay, what do you mean by agent contract? That means principal and agent relationship. Suppose a contract is entered by agent. In that case, principal can enforce the contract entered into by his agent, provided agent has acted within the scope of his authority and in the name of principal. So, for the act of agent, whether principal is responsible or not, can you tell me? So now A is the principal, B is the agent. Now B enters into contract with C on behalf of principal. Now, if there is any loss in that contract, whether principal is eligible, can you tell me whether principal can enforce the contract or whether principal can claim the due amount from the third party? Answer. Yes, he can claim the due amount from the third party. Why? Because here there is an agency relationship. On his behalf someone is doing the work. Suppose A is the principal, B is the agent, C is a third party. Now B and C enter into an agreement. Now there is some amount due from C. B is not able to get that amount from C. Now whether A can claim that amount from C? Yes, of course, yes. Why? Because B is the agent of A. B is the agent of A. See, this contract entered into through an agent. Even though he is not a party to the contract, principal can enforce the contract. Fifth one, covenants running with the land. Covenants running with the land means what? What do you mean by covenants? Can you tell me? Anyone? Covenants running with the land. What do you mean by covenants? Anyone, can you tell me? The word covenants means what? Word covenant means what? Can you tell me? Anyone? Can you tell me word covenants means what? Anyone can answer. Covenants. Covenants means what? It is one kind of an agreement. Covenant means it is a one kind of an agreement. Okay. So now, in the case of transfer of immovable property, purchaser of the land with the notice that the owner of the land is bound by certain conditions or covenants or treaty settlement created by an agreement affecting the land shall be bound by them although he was not the party. Okay, what do you mean by this? At the time of, suppose you are purchasing any immovable property, purchaser of the land, that means purchaser of the land, what happens? With the notice that the owner of the land is bound by certain condition. Yes, so here once you purchase the land, you become the owner. Once you purchase the land, you become the owner, but there are certain obligations. Even after purchasing the land, there are certain procedure, isn't it? Suppose that is mentioned in the agreement or it is mentioned in the covenant. Now the original party who has sold you the land is liable. The original party who has sold you the land is liable. See this. That is the meaning of this one. Covenant running with the land, even though original seller is not a party to the contract, after selling the immovable property, he is liable by the condition mentioned in the agreement, if any condition is mentioned. So these are the terms comes, or these are the exceptions to the rule that is stranger to the contract cannot sue. That means under these six cases, trust or charge, marriage settlement, acknowledgement or estoppel, assignment of contract, contracts entered into through an agent, and covenants running with the land, even though party is a stranger to the contract, they can sue. So that is known as exception to the rule. So any doubt regarding these 6 point? Any doubt regarding the 6 point you can ask now. Any doubt regarding 6 point you can ask now. Stranger to the contract can sue. Any doubt? Can you answer? Can you unmute yourself and tell any doubt you can ask now? Regarding previous one also, no consideration, no contract exception, and stranger to the contract cannot sue. Any doubt regarding the exception? I hope concept is very clear. I hope concept is very clear to everyone. All the points. Just you need to remember the side points. Side points is very important because this type of question comes for 12 mark question. So in 12 mark question you need to elaborate a lot. So only if there is a 6 point you need to write in pages, isn't it? So you should be able to write it in your own words also. So you need to know the side points. That is must. Yes. So any doubt? Can you answer now? If there is any doubt regarding this. So if you don't answer, how will I come to know whether there is any doubt or not? How will I come to know? Can you tell me? Anyone? So there are 15 people, 14 to 15 people are there. No one is answering. Nishant is saying no doubt. What about others? One answer I got. Nishant is saying no doubt. What about others? I hope there is no doubt. Okay, so I assume that there is no doubt. Okay. So now next thing, Pratish is saying no doubt. So now next thing we need to see is capacity to the contract. So what do you mean by capacity to the contract? Can you tell me? What do you mean by capacity to the contract? Anyone answer? What do you mean by capacity to the contract? Capacity to the contract means the person who are eligible to enter into a contract. That means the person who are qualified enough to enter into a contract is known as capacity to the contract. Okay, now next topic, capacity to the contract. See this. Capacity means it is a legal eligibility. Yes, or else it is a qualification to enter into a contract. Only a person who is a major above 18 year of age, who is a mind, who is a person of sound mind, who is able to make a rational decision. What do you mean by sound mind? The person who is able to take rational decision or the correct decision, who may be able to judge between right and wrong. That person is known as sound mind, the person of sound mind, and person who is not disqualified from any law is a competent person to become the party of the valid contract. So in short, what you can say, capacity to the contract means person who are eligible to enter into a contract. So this is very clear. So now, who are the person who are not eligible to enter into a contract? Person disqualified from law, person disqualified from law and contract with a minor, person of unsound mind, they are not eligible to enter into contract. That means with them you cannot make a contract. With these three person, unsound mind, minor and disqualified from law, you cannot make a contract. That is the meaning of this one. So now we need to see the person disqualified under law. That is, there are three types of categories they have said, right? Minor, unsound mind, and disqualified. So first one we need to see about minor. So what do you mean by minor? Minor means anyone who is below the 18 year of age. Anyone who is below the 18 year of age, or the person who has not attained the age of majority, or the person who has not reached the age of 18 year is a person called as minor. So minor, with minor you cannot enter into a contract. So now this is very important question. Effect of minors agreement or law relating to the minor, 24 marks question. 24 marks question. It is asked repeatedly in the past year question paper. If you see the past year question paper, so you will come to know that who is a minor and effects of minors agreement. This question comes for 24 marks regularly. Frequently it is asked. So now this one we need to discuss. So see this. Effects of minors agreement or law relating to the minor. First one. Agreement with the minor is void and inoperative ab initio. That means what? You cannot do the agreement with a minor. That means anything you enter with an agreement with a minor, that is void from the very beginning. At the moment you enter the agreement with a minor, that agreement cannot be enforced in the court of law. So it is void from the very beginning. Ab initio means from the very beginning it is void. You cannot enforce that agreement. So that is the first condition. That is the first rule. Agreement with a minor is void ab initio. Second one, he can be a promisee or beneficiary. That means what? Minor can enter the contract only to the benefits and not for the losses. Do you agree with me? Minor can enter the contract only to the benefits to him and not for the losses. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Minor can enter only to the benefits and not for losses. Whether it is true or false. Can you answer? Whether it is true or false? Yes, only for the benefit. Anusha is saying yes. Nishant is saying yes. Akamsha is saying yes. Yes, he can share the profits but not the losses. He can share the profits but not the losses. See this. If the contract is beneficial to the minor, then that can be enforced by him. Law does not regard him incapable of accepting the benefit in the contract. So now we need to see the example. See this. A minor has advanced certain sum of money. So now minor is a creditor. In this case, minor is a creditor. Creditor has given certain money to the debtor, known as B, and executed mortgage of immovable property for repayment of money advance. What do you mean by mortgage? Mortgage of immovable property means what? What do you mean by mortgage? What do you mean by mortgage? What do you mean by mortgage? Anyone? What do you mean by mortgage? Can you tell me? Mortgage of immovable property. So what do you mean by that? See, now B has not paid the money. In that case, now what creditor will do? What minor will do? Minor will take his property as a security. Minor will take his property as a security. That means if there is any default in the payment by the debtor, he is eligible or he is liable or he is eligible to use the property of debtor. He is eligible to use the property of the debtor. So that is the meaning of this. See this. B failed to repay the money borrowed. In this case, mortgage can be enforced by A as he is the person to receive the payment. Yes. So receiving the payment means it is a benefit to minor, isn't it? So that is the meaning of second point. He can be a promisee or beneficiary. Third one. His agreement cannot be ratified by him on attaining the age of majority. That what do you mean by ratified? What do you mean by ratification? What do you mean by ratification? So now my question is, now you have entered into an agreement with minor. So this agreement is void now. Whether minor can enforce it once he becomes major, whether minor can enforce it once he becomes major. Same agreement, when he was a minor, you have entered into an agreement with A and B. Now let us take the example of A and B. So now B is a minor. So A enters into an agreement with B. So B is a minor. Now after 6 months, B becomes major. B becomes major. Whether now B can continue with the old contract. Whether B can continue with the old contract, my question. Can you answer me? Whether B can continue with the old contract. Amrita is saying no. What about others? What about others? Yes or no? Can you continue with the old contract? Correct answer. Not possible. No. You need to create fresh contract. You need to create fresh contract. See this. The term ratification may be defined as the act of confirming or approving. So what do you mean by ratification? It is the act of confirmation. Act of confirmation or act of approving an agreement made by a minor during the period of his minority, very important statement, cannot be confirmed by him on attaining the majority. That means old agreement must be cancelled and new agreement must be created once he becomes a major. That means once he attains the age of 18 years. Fresh agreement must be made on becoming the major because agreement with the minor is void from the very beginning. So how he can continue once he become major? Major means now he can enter into a valid agreement, isn't it? So that is why you need to create a fresh agreement. So that is the third one. Ratification not possible. Fourth one, minor can always plead minority. What do you mean by minor can always plead minority? What do you mean by this sentence? Minor can always plead minority. What do you mean by that? Suppose you have, I am a minor. Now, example, I am a minor. So now you have given me 5 lakh. Now you have given me 5 lakh. Okay, now I use that 5 lakh for gambling purpose. I use that 5 lakh for gambling purpose. So, and I fail to return you the money. So now I am unable to pay you the money. So now you go to the court of law and now you file a case against me. I am a minor. So now whether court of law or in the court, whether minor is eligible to pay. Whether minor is eligible to pay the 5 lakh. Can you tell me? Whether minor is eligible to pay the 5 lakh. Can you tell me? Answer. Whether minor is eligible to pay the 5 lakh. Amrita is saying no. What about other? Minor is not eligible to pay the 5 lakh. Even though you have given me 5 lakh, I have used for gambling purpose. I am not eligible to pay. Why? I can plead my minority. That means at the time of this one investigation, I can say that I am a minor. So I can say that I am a minor. So now you are responsible. Why? You should know the law. Ignorance of law is no excuse. What do you mean by that? Ignorance of law, no excuse. You should know the law that if you enter into a contract with a minor, that is void from the very beginning, which cannot be enforceable by law. So before giving money to the person below the year of 18, you must be very careful because you cannot enforce it if there is any default payment. Yes, see this. Example, S is a minor by fraudulently misrepresenting himself to be a major person. Induced L to lend him 4,000. Okay, now L gives 4,000 to S. Afterwards, S refused to make the payment. See, here L sued S on the ground of fraud, but it was held in the court of law that it was void and S was not able to repay the loan as he was a minor. So this point is now very clear. Minor can always plead minority. Fifth one, if he has received any benefit under the void agreement, he cannot be asked to compensate. Okay. So now if I receive 5 lakh and I am a minor, now you cannot ask me to compensate. So I can keep that 5 lakh. So that is the meaning. See this, the party incurring the loss cannot recover anything from a minor or from minor's property. So what do you mean by minor's property? Either from his guardian or from his parents. You cannot recover the money. So that is the meaning of this one. Fifth one, whether minor can become a partner. Next question is minor as a partner. Whether he can become a partner in a company. Minor cannot become a partner in a company. However, what happens? Minor can be admitted to the benefits of the firm. This sentence is very important. Minor can be admitted to the benefits of the firm. That means if a firm feels that by admitting the minor, they can make some profit, in that case, they can admit the minor as a partner. However, consent is needed by all the partners or all the members. Consent, all the permission of all the members asked first before admitting the minor as a partner. And you see, he will not be able to share the losses of the firm. He can enjoy the benefits but not the losses. He can enjoy the benefits but not the losses. That is sixth one. He cannot be declared as insolvent. That is one more thing. Yes. So same thing. Example, 5 lakh you have given to me. If I am not able to pay that money, I am not insolvent because I can claim that I am a minor. So that is the meaning of this one. He cannot be declared as insolvent because agreement with a minor is void. Last point we need to discuss now. He is liable for necessaries. What do you mean by necessaries? If anything essential is given to the minor, suppose minor is incapable of carrying his normal duties. So suppose any provision or any necessities are given to him, in that case you can recover that. In that case you can recover that. See this, minor's property. If minor is unable to pay, from minor's guardian or parent, you can recover the money. Minor's property is liable to pay for the necessaries. Yes, sold by him during his minority, carried by him during his minority. So there is a mistake in the word. Once you see that, what is the mistake? Supplied. This is supplied. Okay. So there is a necessary supplied. Necessary supplied. Minor's property is liable to pay for the necessary supplied to him during his minority. Correction, here supplied. Okay. So what is the example? Funds supplied to the minor for education. Suppose minor has no money and even his parents has no money. Now suppose anyone has given fund. So that fund is recoverable. Any medical care, then training in trade, legal advice, expenses incurred in performing funeral ceremonies of his parents. Suppose minor's parent died and someone has given money, 1 lakh is given for conducting funeral duties. In that case, what happens? In that case, that person, one who has given 1 lakh to the minor, can recover the money. Yes, my marriage of minor sister, again he can recover the money, are considered as necessaries. So again, in this effects of minor agreement, there are 16 points. So we have discussed 8 points now. We have discussed 8 points.